everyone, I'm Captain Logan. Here's the Geoff and the Jayson. And Jayson, what are we going to tell everybody how we felt about today?
We are going to talk about how we felt about Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4.
Toy Story 4!
A movie that after Toy Story 3 I really would not have expected would ever happen. I thought if anything we might eventually get some kind of like character spin-off.
I thought they'd go straight to 5, actually.
Oh really? Yeah. They just jump 4 altogether?
I figured they'd stick with prime numbers.
Oh okay, sure.
The next one will be 8.
So, anyway, when Toy Story 4 was announced, I was like, I don't know how that's going to be anything but kind of a money-milking sort of endeavor, where it's like, we had a really good send-off with 3 that felt like, to me, a real, like close the door.
They could actually have stopped there.
Yeah, absolutely. And not that you couldn't do anything else in this universe, but I might have thought, again, either like some kind of spin-off thing or a TV show or something, but not, I never thought we'd see 4. And when we initially got that teaser with Forky, and he's like, I don't belong here and all that, I was like, this could go real south. Like, this could be obnoxious. And the big thing that Eric and I were both worried about was that it might be too much about the rules of the universe. That they might try to explain how the sentient toy thing works. And that was the thing I was really concerned about. What were you going to say, Jayson?
And this movie was actually planned to release in 2017.
Well, was it really? Oh yeah, they put it back for something.
They switched it with something else.
That's right. I forget what was it. Incredibles 2, and because it wasn't that. Am I remembering this right? And then Incredibles 2 had to be rushed, and that's part of why that third act is different than it was supposed to be, and it had a more interesting storyline, and they had to kind of gut some stuff from it, and I think that was because of this.
Because after people had waited 78 years for that sequel, suddenly they had to rush to get it done.
Yeah. So that, I don't know, that
time
for
is
that
strange in the Pixar universe.
So like, if I'm remembering that right, and that's what happened, it's sad that had to get rushed, but nice that we took our time getting this out. I did not remember that Toy Story 3 was 9 years ago. Yeah. That was 2010, and I just kind of forgot about it. And I was like, wow, well, okay. I mean, like, even though it's weird that we have 4 of these now, you can't say we rushed it.
Oh.
You know, we did take our time making that. So anyway, premise of this movie, we have a sentient spork, Forky. It turns out that you can make your own toys, and they too,
will be alive.
Come alive and be sentient. This is something of a road trip movie to a degree. We're doing a lot of traveling, like we do in a lot of the Toy Story movies, like all the sequels. Have had a lot of, we need to get here, but we're this tall. How are we going to make that happen?
Toys drive real human cars.
Yep.
Toys drive toy cars like they were real humans, like they were humans driving real cars.
And sometimes at the speed that normal cars go. Which is a staple going all the way back.
Are sentient, but some are not.
Uh-huh. We're real inconsistent about that, but I would argue that we're consistent in the inconsistency. Like, I think these movies have always been pretty self-aware about how they also don't know how the rules work, and there's a joke about that in this, which I thought was great. That kind of caps off the whole thing, and I was like, well, I mean, you guys are aware of it. Like, it's just...
I appreciated that more than I would have appreciated an explanation with phlebotinum and
we've said this
We've
said this in Pixar discussions before, which, by the way, we need to get back to. It's been forever, and we have several movies now, I think, to get back to. But it will be interesting to do a full analysis on this when we finally get there. But I want to say that in one of the Toy Story reviews, we talked about the whole like conceit versus concept thing, and we have continued that seems to be a thing you and I go back to a lot, and this movie, along with the other Toy Story movies, continues to understand the difference and continues to play that as a conceit. And I will right away say that I was impressed that we did not spend this whole movie trying to explain the rules. We just kind of added a thing to it and then moved on, and that was nice.
It was a story about toys, not a story about how toys can have stories.
So it's so we got Forky. The whole one of the major subplots is that he gets lost, and Woody has to try to get him back because their current kid who was set up in Toy Story 3 created her. And she's real. No, created her, and that it's her favorite toy, and she's going to be too sad without it. And so Woody takes it upon himself to try to go grab it. And within his journey of doing that, his adventure, he rediscovers Bo Peep, finds her again, and this is kind of a reuniting thing with them. And that's kind of that's the big major stuff. We don't have like a bunch of separate subplots. You have the rest of the toys kind of just stalling for time, making sure that the parents don't leave the RV park so that they can get back. Would you say that the other toys are a little underutilized?
They are not very much utilized, that's for sure. I didn't find myself wishing I was seeing more of the pig or the Jessie or anything in that.
So you think they juggle their big cast of characters pretty well? Because, I mean, it is now a massive cast of characters, and I think they're really careful to focus on a few of them and then give everybody else some moments, but not try to make it 30 people's
Let
movie.
us see that those people are still there.
When we added Bonnie's Toys at the end of 3, I thought if we ever have another one, I don't know what you do with it, because we've got too many characters now.
And so up until here, the pattern has always been the solution of each movie has been a kid gets even more toys.
That's true.
You know, the toys the kid has, recruit more toys along the way somehow, or rescue some new toys along the way.
And the kid will go through phases, but he will continue to play with each of them. Yeah. You're right. You could argue that by the end of 3, we kind of just end up with the number of toys we had in the first movie, but a lot of them didn't feel like supporting characters. And by 2, a lot of the characters that didn't even do a whole lot in 1, we were now thinking of as supporting characters. Like Rex feels more like a supporting character than a background character.
Yeah, 2 was really Rex's movie.
With the little video game thing.
Yeah.
And now he's settled, and we don't have to.
I love that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in this movie, Mr. Potato Head doesn't get mad at Woody. He does it in every single movie, but he doesn't do it in this one. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's true. Woody still does his be really impulsive and then pay for the consequences of that thing, which happens pretty much every movie. But you're right. There's not that moment where Mr. Potato Head completely turns against him and then has to eat crow later. We don't really have that.
I think
he's finally figured it out.
I think the casino guys are the
just
ones
don't have
that do that.
Like,
not the casino guys.
What are you talking
The
the
bears.
carnival guys?
Yeah, the carnival guys.
Oh,
are the
yeah?
ones that do
Okay.
that.
No, I can see what you're saying. Well, Geoff, why don't you tell us how you felt overall about Toy Story 4?
I want to subtitle it Bo Peep's Revenge. Bo Peep was sort of there in the first movie, but not important. Sort of there in the second movie, but even less important. Third movie, disappeared entirely.
And we made a point of it. Like, several toys had disappeared over the years.
And I had just assumed at that point that, they don't want to animate so many of these critters anymore. And, fine, I guess. And now, apparently, 6 billion people wrote letters to Pixar angry about Bo Peep disappearing. Because now she's back, and she's a Jedi.
She kind of is a Jedi, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, holy macaroni and cheese.
But there's a
And
decent
she has
explanation and background for that, yeah? Like,
a
7
very
years on her own.
different face than she had in the first movie as well.
Yes, that's true.
The first movie, the first movie you could almost buy her as a porcelain figure, facially, nondescript, barely painted on figures. And here she has the completely Disney princess face. Put wings on her back, that's Tinkerbell.
I didn't think of that. Is that a problem?
Not really. I mean, I noticed the difference, and part of it is that their tools and methods are a little more sophisticated now than they were when they made Toy Story.
Yeah, we're finally
1.
giving her something to do 25 years later. So
not only does her facial expressions have so much more life, even than Woody or Buzz or any of the other toy characters in this movie.
well, they probably thought it was easier to get away with that because it's been so long since we've seen that character.
Yeah.
And then you can explain it away with,
redesigned her.
well, 25 years of, a quarter of a century of evolution of design.
And she's had some kind of personal epiphany in the intervening period, and it turns out she's discovered she's James Bond. She was the mewing shepherdess with their sheep, and now she's action commando Bo Peep.
But it's an observation making. Like, is it a problem? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like,
it took me a little time to accept it because it was just so different. I think it's a good thing overall because I'm happy to see any character become more of a character in a way that makes them a pinpoint for a more interesting story.
I appreciated the new perspective of a toy could be happy with an adventurous life that's just about them discovering the world, that you
having a kid.
That you don't necessarily have to have a kid, and it's still sometimes about there are just different perspectives on that in this movie. And I think the reason I was so excited about that was because I didn't think there were any stories left to tell, really, in this universe. I thought we had kind of landed on, okay, you do the best you can for the kid you're with for as long as you can, and then they go off to college, and then hopefully you find another one. And now we find there's this whole other thing you can do, which is really fun, and I think there's potential for exploration in a future film with it, which is basically being a vigilante toy that goes and finds other misfit toys and gives them to other children, which is not a thing we've really done.
In the beginning of this, when Woody is talking with Forky and kind of wrestling with the alternative to being the played with favorite loved toy is being trash.
Yeah.
And what Bo Peep shows him is that that's not the alternative. That being lost does not mean your life's over. It does not mean you're landfill fodder. It does not mean you're worthless. And I think she in turn learned something in her process from getting back together with Woody about what a toy's life is still about.
I really appreciated that she had an arc. Yes. That she's not just there to teach Woody a thing, and that she's perfect and can do no wrong, which is where I thought we were going with that, and it's not, and that's awesome.
Once again, actual storytelling with actual characters and actual problems that get actually addressed. Thank you, Pixar.
Yeah, and I think the larger idea with that as a metaphor for human beings is probably being your own person and finding your own way is not necessarily a selfish endeavor.
No. And that nobody has to be trash.
Yeah.
But we get a little bit of window in how a person can feel like they are trash, and how a person who feels like they are trash can, in fact, be genuinely and sincerely reluctant to find a way to think of themselves as more or other than simply trash. And that's a point I felt like I never expected to see made in a kid's movie or a cartoon. But once again, thank you, Pixar.
Especially in the fourth of a series.
Yeah.
That I just would have figured we're kind of out of ideas for. And again, when I saw Forky in the promos, I was like, okay, guys, we are out of ideas. And that character does not take over.
Nope.
And it doesn't go anywhere like where I thought it was going to with that.
They have not fallen off their stalk of wheat.
Geoff, do you have a best thing, worst thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with any of Bo Peep's amazing spy moves for best thing.
Oh, really? You really dug that?
Could not get enough of that. Worst thing. You know, I'm having trouble even remembering the worst thing. I know there were bits of it that I liked less than other bits, but nothing jumps out as a,
How did you feel about, without giving too much away, about what initially seemed like the bad guy plot? Because at first it seemed like it was we had really got to a formula with these movies, and it doesn't go where I thought it was going to, and I expected to hate that and did not by the end. But how did you feel about the villain plot?
Boy, talk about creepy.
Yeah.
That is the second.
And these movies like to go to those places.
Second creepiest thing I have seen in a Pixar movie.
What's the first?
Is it creepy? Oh, now are you talking about the dummies?
Yeah.
But is it creepier than Big Baby? Because that's pretty freaking creepy.
Yeah, way creepier than Big Baby.
Really?
The only thing I found more than that was that scene in Toy Story 3 when they were all being sucked into the flamey pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just fine that they didn't go that far again.
Well, it felt really redundant. I mean, I assumed it would try to really go its own way, and it did for the most part.
In this movie, the emotional stakes were about the toys.
The toys, yeah.
But they were personal, rather than sort of a basic Jeopardy plot or.
And really subverted expectations because it certainly was setting up things that it had done in the last two in certain ways, and you're like, okay, I know where this is going to go, and then it doesn't do that. But not in a counterintuitive way. Like, you just realize we're telling a different story than what it looked like it was in the first place.
And still, even though they still have, the toys have to hijack a car and scenes, and the toys cross a busy street in disguise thing, and the toys do these things without getting seen by humans. Even more in this one than in the previous movies, the story focus still is on the real, I don't like to say humanity, but it's about it is about the characters and these kind of action figure stuff is a part of their journey, and it's not irrelevant to their journey, but it's not the point of their journey. And I like that in a movie.
Pixar is often really good, and may I say, this is one of, I think, without making it too obvious how my sign's going to flip, but I guess this will, but I think this is one of the better sequels. And I think Pixar is really good, very often anyway, at making you think you know what the personal stakes are, and then with a moment of self-discovery at the end of the film going, here's what it actually was.
Yeah.
And that's how life works. That's where you think you're, because this movie, like I guess all the Toy Story movies, has a real good sense of what characters want, and then of course they're trying to get that thing. But sometimes a character will think he wants one thing, and then it will turn out that he's actually interested in something else and doesn't even realize it. And there's this really nice moment of self-discovery in this film where suddenly I realized what the personal stakes actually were.
Sometimes when you lose your way, it's the best thing that ever happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a line about that.
There is a line about that. Why don't you go ahead and flip your sign?
So, no surprises here. Yummy.
We will replace that sign for next time. Jayson, real quick, why don't you go ahead and give us how you felt about this movie, best thing, worst thing, and then flip your sign.
Okay. So I just want to go out and say this is a really funny movie.
Yeah, most of the comedy played for me.
Yeah.
I think that most of the comedy is all at the beginning, and then it gets really serious at the end.
I don't know, because the joke I laughed at the hardest was in the third act. I see what you're saying, because when you get to the end of a movie like this, it gets a little bit more actiony, and there's a lot of high stakes, running around and
That's like the
trying to
second
get
act
something,
in
but-
this.
Yeah, but you think more of the funny stuff is toward the beginning. Is
Yeah.
that just because you thought Forky was hilarious and then he kind of disappears for a while? Is that why you're saying that?
Yeah. Forky is hilarious because he keeps wanting to go in the trash can, and
it's hysterical.
Yeah.
That never gets old.
and then
I'll go this far. I thought that was classic.
Yeah.
That is a thing that will stick with me, and I will see things in other things that will remind me of that, and I'll be like, oh, that's like Forky in Toy Story 4. Like,
is the Buzz thing giving away anything?
no, you could talk about the Buzz thing. Yeah.
So,
And I wanted to talk about that, because that's a thing I can't decide how I land on.
Yeah.
so, basically, they do the whole thing where, Woody was talking to Buzz about, like, you have to find, like, your inside voice, and that tells you, like, what to do or whatever. And Buzz thought that was a whole different thing.
Yep.
So he kept pressing his button, and then that told him everything.
How did you feel about that? As a kind of a subplot and just as a running gag?
At first, I thought that was a gag, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. And then we got to a point where the movie kind of invites us to think about Woody's inner voice
That's true.
and what's happening to his inner voice.
Yep, there's a good parallel there.
And that flips a light switch on for the ending to me.
That's a really good point. Yep. I was distracted by how convenient it often was.
Yeah.
Where he would press a button and it would have everything to do with what's going on right now. These movies have always danced on a line of convenience like that.
Yeah.
And so it's consistent with it. Like, whether that's a problem or not, it's
But then it suddenly totally fails it.
no better or worse than it's ever been at that kind of thing. And the first movie still sits on more conveniences than any of the rest of them, I think. But but you're absolutely right. There is a point where he has to quit doing that because it's not useful. So yeah, I was turned around by it a little bit on the comedy side, but I did not think of what you just said, and you're absolutely right about that.
And then finally it turns out to be useful to him again after all, because it opens the door for him to actually say something.
Yeah, that's true, but not because he's like lost his confidence or
No,
anything.
right.
At that point, it's because he's confident. My issue, the only issue I still have with it, the more I'm thinking about it, is I feel like there needed to be something new set up with his character to get us to that place, because it's almost like he was just always sort of like lacking in confidence or having a difficult time making decisions.
Yeah.
He's never been that character, and I didn't really get that part of it.
This was a different Buzz Lightyear in a way than we got to know.
Kind of just to make that thematic parallel work, so that's a problem. But that thematic parallel is really good. I just wasn't sure why he seemed to be doubting himself the way he was, or like couldn't make choices, and I'm like...
It felt almost like in the 9 years in between, the folks who do the writing kind of forgot a little bit who Buzz Lightyear was.
And that makes me wonder if in then going back to the other movies again, if you're going to see this kind of like inconsistency of, we never really had a great sense of what this character is beyond his arc in the first film.
Once we didn't need him as an antagonist for Woody anymore, well, what do we do with Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, because he's great as a foil, but once they're friends.
Yeah.
And if you
And
think
he
about
finds
it,
his father, and, you know.
this is the first time since 1 that we've really tried to do a great character thing with Buzz. So, like, I appreciate the attempt there, because he's been played more for comedy for the last 2 movies. And as just kind of, like, backup for Woody. Like, every movie is Woody's movie.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder a lot about what's going to happen in 5.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. Absolutely. Anyway, Jason, do you have a best thing, worst thing?
So, my best thing is, it is a big movie. In that I mean, it is one story with a bunch of different stories in that one story.
I mean, I guess they all have that. But
this one is like the biggest.
see, I'm gonna counter you and say I appreciated that it wasn't trying to be any bigger than 3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get why you're saying that with like some of the action set pieces and more characters and things, but you know, like you said, we didn't feel the need to like outdo the toys are going to hell, or
Yes, thanks for not trying to outdo that.
or some of the stuff in 2 where we're just all over the city. Like this is a smaller area than we've had in a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, but you felt like it was kind of big.
Yeah. Worst thing, I don't know, man.
Did you like it a lot?
Yeah. They didn't do much with Bullseye.
We never do anything with Bullseye. I mean, Bullseye's like a non-talking character that we just kind of ride around on.
Yeah. Like, I like him in 2 because 2's awesome, but, like...
I wondered where the aliens were.
Oh, yeah, that was my worst thing.
That was
Where's
weird.
the aliens?
Because we know they go with Bonnie at the end of 3.
Yeah.
Andy, when he breaks down all the toys for her, talks about them and gives them to her, and they're
you know she has them.
they're a huge part of the end of that movie. And then here it's almost like we've used the aliens too much. Let's not have them here at all. But was there a bit that I missed where we saw them? But
I don't remember.
I don't
seeing
think
them
they
at all.
ever show up. It's weird.
Unless in that flashbacky or beginning part.
They might have been there, but I'm wondering where they are
Even then, just
in
okay.
Bonnie's room. Like, we know they're there, and it's just weird that they don't, that they're not with the rest of the toys.
Maybe she just didn't. Maybe she didn't like them.
But then we go in the closet at the beginning. You think they'd be in there?
Yeah.
Because that's where all the toys that aren't being played with are at, and we're in there. Like, I don't know where the aliens are, but I might be forgetting.
No,
there might be a bit where they show up and I'm missing it, but I don't think they ever
I don't
show
think
up.
they show
No,
up.
I don't think...
But that's
So-
weird.
So now they're going to have to make another one where the aliens come back and they're suddenly super awesome.
Oh,
And they've actually been in space the whole time, and
Yeah.
so.
also, I've heard that this is actually going to be their last one. Their last movie.
I mean, I believe that when I see it, because the
But
projections are good. It's
at
going
the
to make a lot of
end,
money.
it looks like it's gonna get a sequel.
See, it doesn't feel sequel baity to me. Here's what's so weird. 3 is a great cap off. This is also a good cap off. Like, they kind of made another good Coda movie. In fact, you could almost make the case that 3 is an ender and 4 is a Coda. I guess you could say that.
Yeah, the way this wraps up felt to me at first I thought, yeah, they're going to do another one. And maybe they wouldn't have to. I mean, it doesn't demand a follow-up, but it certainly leaves them some good options for creating a follow-up if they ever decide to.
See, 3 I felt like, again, was a real cap-off, like, definitive kind of ending, but you could see what you might attempt with it. I just didn't know idea-wise what in the world we would do. Now I think we've opened the ideas up, and I could see other movies you'd make. Like you said, it doesn't demand another movie. It feels like it could be a good Ender, Coda, whatever, but I also could see it spawning 2 or 3 franchises. Like, I could see it jumping, like, splintering off now into different things.
Which of those, what characters does 5 follow? There are lots of good choices.
I'll say this: if they have gone on the record and say we're definitely not making any more movies, which you can always come back, you can renege that later, whatever. If they've said that, it makes me wonder if they're going to do what they're doing with Monsters. Do you know about this? Because Monsters is getting a TV show on Disney Plus, and that makes me wonder if that's what they're thinking with Toy Story. Like, we're going to come out and say we're not making any more movies because, and think about it. You can see the TV show; it writes itself.
Sure.
When you get to the end of this movie, especially with Woody, that's easy.
You know, that's
10, 12 episode season, that's easy.
That's another thing about this movie that I appreciated, that I have unappreciated in a lot of other movies I've seen recently, including Pixar movies.
Mm-hmm.
This did not have any scenes that, while I was watching the movie, made me think, this is the setup for a video game.
Yeah.
You know, like so many of the other movies have these long sequences that
Which is weird because they don't get them anymore, really. Like
And,
we don't
you know,
even do video games for these movies
they're
anymore.
not doing them, but I've seen so many from Pixar and others movies that have these things, and I think, yeah, this is going to be in the video game.
Yeah.
And this movie had no scenes that felt to me like that while I watched it,
Even though there are action set pieces and
even though there are those.
you know, even the stuff with the Canadian stuntman doesn't feel like
Yeah.
that. And he's, by the way,
And
hilarious.
if anything was going to be
Yeah.
a video game bait,
Yeah.
he was going to, and yet he wasn't. I like that.
Go ahead and flip your sign.
Okay. I would say that this is my second favorite.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Cool.
It would probably go 2, 4, 1, 3.
2, 4, 1, 3.
Interesting.
It's a
So
firing order on my Ford Escort.
we're kind of out of time. I'm going to go ahead and do my spiel real briefly. I've been talking throughout this. I'm feeling it, certainly. I enjoyed this a lot. I don't know where it ranks for me. I'd have to think about it. I gotta watch it again. What I can't even say, like, how I feel about it compared to 3 right now, which is one of my favorite things about it. It's such a different film.
Yeah.
They're almost, in my mind, not comparable things. They're doing such different things, and I really appreciated that. Easily, my best thing is Woody's character arc, because it was not going anything like where I thought it was going, and at the end, it just got me. I thought I thought it was fantastic. My worst thing is gonna be, and this is kind of minor. Actually, okay, I'll say this. It's a tie between the issues I still have with the Buzz subplot and the Carnival Bears. Or the Carnival Toys, the duo.
Oh,
that
yeah,
have
I don't
this-
The
like
bunny
them.
and the
it's,
chicken.
it's not as funny as they think it is. It's not funny. There's parts of that I laughed at, but like they have this running gag where they will keep like coming up with a plan that can't be used, and they'll show us what it would look like, and then it's like, that's ridiculous. You can't do that. That was not as funny to me as the movie thought it was, and I got a little tired of it.
Yeah.
But
They kept doing it.
most of the comedy played for me, and that wasn't like obnoxious or anything. I almost said best thing was Forky, just because I expected to freaking hate that, and I didn't. And there's an authenticity and like real endearing quality to that character. Just the I was born yesterday. I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what I'm for. I think I know what I'm for, but apparently I'm wrong. And the way, without giving anything away, the way that plays into Woody's character arc is kind of genius.
Yeah.
That you have this guy we've been following for 4 movies that still hasn't really found his place in the world. Thought he did, is like real stringent and like holding on for dear life to the familiar and to what he thinks his role is. And when that role seems to start slipping away, he's lost and he doesn't know what to do with himself. But he also has to be the kind of the mentor to this character that really was just kind of literally thrown together.
Gosh,
And
what does Forky remind me of?
what I know, I've been having that too, where like he seems like a really familiar character. Like I can't even really pinpoint an archetype, but there's like an archetype there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I thought I was gonna really dislike that, and at the end of the day, I think it's sort of inspired. And also, I like that the whole movie isn't just about him, and like it's more complicated than just he's got to get back to his owner so that like they can like so that he can find himself and she can be happy. Like it hinges itself initially on that idea, and you're like, okay, you can write the movie. Like I know exactly where this is going. And then it's not that. It's about Woody, because these things are always about Woody.
The thing with Forky,
But of course, he has an arc too, and
the thing about Forky that I think you've put your finger on kind of there is that Forky is this character with this quality about him. A different movie with different writers would just make his presence all about the stuff he doesn't know. And that would just be the perpetual joke, him not knowing stuff. In here, Forky's not knowing stuff is always the bridge to Forky learning stuff, and Forky's process of learning stuff is part of our process in the movie.
And there's an evolution. Like, he is a different character at
He's
the end.
not just
at the
a
beginning.
throwaway gag. He's not just literary trash.
He's also, again, without giving too much away, he's also instrumental in helping another character figure out, her point, her reason for being, and that helps him to grow up. There's a lot going on in what I assumed would just be kind of a cash grab, obligatory.
Like just a plastic
Of
character.
course, we're going to make the sequel. But I mean, the movie in general, just like I expected this to be kind of obligatory, and like maybe it would be kind of Cars 2 fun, but no substance. Yeah. It does not have that problem.
Cars 2 was fun.
Well, there's things in Cars 2 I enjoyed, certainly, but...
okay, yeah.
You said you did too in the review. I'll roll back the tape. Yeah, sorry,
yes,
what's
I
up,
did.
Jayson? No, you and I, our big complaint with that movie, we were like, there's things in this that are fun, but at the end, it pretends like it was poignant or something, and it wasn't. That was our whole thing.
So
I would use that word with this film.
Is Bonnie saying hi toys or hi toys bye toys?
I don't know what you're talking about right now.
When right before Woody introduces Forky.
Mm-hmm. I don't
Like,
know. This is the moment you've latched onto that I do not have in my brain right now. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to remember.
Because she says, like, hi toys, and then, like, I think, but it's really, like, it's really fast, and so I don't know.
Anyway, I really dug this.
Mystery for the Ages.
I thought it was pretty good.
3 grains.
Leave your comments. Let us know if you saw this movie, if you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we will see you again for another one in the not-too-distant future. And Geoff and I will try to get back to Pixar discussions when we can. We have other plans for some things as well. We're going to finally do a commentary together. I don't think I've ever had you on a commentary apart from Power Rangers. We have a movie that we really want to sit down and do that, I don't know, 15 people might care about, but it'll be fun when we do that. I don't know why he's Evil Villain laughing right now, but anyway. But we will...
It's a neurological thing.
We'll try to get back to Pixar eventually. I don't know where we are. I think the last thing we did was Brave, maybe? Or did we do something even after that?
Brave?
Did we do Monsters University as a Pixar discussion finally?
Didn't have to go look that up.
Yeah, I don't even remember. It's been so many months now, I can't
I
remember.
thought Inside Out was the one we had to do. Was either the one we had to do next or the last one we did?
That's what I don't think we've done it. No, we definitely haven't because I haven't seen that movie since the theater. I'm almost positive. So, yeah, I had it in my head that was the next one.
I think.
But I also don't know the order of movies that well when you get past a certain point. So I'm pretty sure.
Check before we start.
I'm pretty sure Monsters University we did, but I don't know if that was the last one we did, and that was post Brave, right? Isn't that the next one after? I'm pretty sure we put our finger on where we're at then. So that means we've only got 4 or 5 probably, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got those, you've got Cars 3. You've got Coco, which I've never seen. You've got Good Dinosaur, which I've never seen.
Dinosaur.
So we're going to finally have a couple of these that I at least am going to see for the very first time. Because I think the first run, I hadn't seen Brave, but beyond that, we had both seen all of them up to where we were.
Toy Story 3, I had not seen.
You had not seen. Oh, okay. So you got
one each.
So you had that whole like soul-crushing experience. Watch it again,
and
unless
then
you
did
have gone back
commentary
to it.
on it.
Have you ever
Nope.
gone back to it? Because knowing where it's going, I don't think it will feel as dark as it did first time out. Because I had that too, man. And then when spoilers for that, but when the claw comes down, it deflates all of that tension in a really good way. Where it's like, oh, that's right, we're still having fun, and this is hilarious. Like, it's such a funny moment. Like,
these guys know how to tell a story, darn it. They just do.
And I also have, like, I don't think of that as my favorite, but I have, like, this crazy emotional experience every time I see it. I've seen that movie 3 or 4 times now, and every time Andy gives the toys to Bonnie, I bawl every time. I just frickin' lose it. Every time. And it's the same thing I have with the beginning of Up. Like, I can't watch that movie without just, like, tears in my pizza every time. And...
Skip.
Yeah, seriously. Because I watched it today in preparation for this movie, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. Like I know what happens. There's no reason I should be emotionally affected. Every time!
I know.
And so I guess in that way, I have to call it my favorite. Because, like, it hits me.
I started crying in this movie.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I teared up in a couple places. I'll admit it.
when
I did.
I forget when it.
That's always the big
Oh,
question.
when
Did
the-
you cry in a Pixar movie? And yeah, I did with
Yeah.
this one too.
There's a point where a girl is lost, and
Oh,
she was
boy.
crying, and I just
That
teared
yep.
up.
Nope. You're right. That's the moment. That got me, and that could have been so sappy. It could have just not worked. It did. It was the. It was like the flashback in 2 that gets me every time with Emily.
Yeah.
Every time I lose it. That song choice is just killer.
And,
I mute the song.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Because you don't like it, or because it?
I've heard it. It had its impact. I don't need that impact again.
Oh, okay. Because that's the thing that hits me
It's too
every
hard.
time. Yeah. Ugh. Oh. Anyway.
In 3, do you tear up when
Now we're talking about this.
oh, I forget. When she's crying in her room, 'cause oh,
I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
I forget.
I haven't
guess-
watched it again, so can't really tell you.
Once again, folks, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again next time. I am Captain Logan. This was the
Well, watch
Geoff.
this again.
This was the Geoff.
I will be again.
And the Jayson.
And it was me.
See you later, folks.